Today is December 25th, 2025. As we gather to celebrate, it's easy to forget that this date once meant something very different to millions of Americans. Let's travel back to the Great Depression, a time when a simple meal was a miracle. For many families, Christmas was just another day to survive. The stock market crash of 1929 sent shockwaves through America, shattering dreams and upending lives overnight. Banks closed, factories shut down, and farms turned to dust in the Dust Bowl. The nation was plunged into uncertainty and fear. Scarcity defined daily life. Millions struggled just to eat. Every meal was a challenge, and every bite was precious. Breadlines replaced paychecks, and families stretched every ingredient to its limit. Creativity became a necessity, not a choice. Nothing was wasted. Potato peels became snacks. Stale bread became pudding. Bacon grease was gold. Even the smallest scraps were treasured. This era forced people to become resourceful, inventing recipes out of necessity. Kitchens became places of invention, where hope simmered alongside soup. Mock apple pies with crackers, meatloaf with oatmeal, and other clever dishes filled empty stomachs and lifted spirits. Gravies without meat, these desperation dishes were born from hardship, but also from ingenuity and love. Each dish tells a story of resilience and creativity. They were more than food. They were a way to keep families together. Even in hardship, people found ways to create comfort and joy. Laughter and love were served alongside every meal. The kitchen became a laboratory of survival and hope, where families experimented and adapted, refusing to give in to despair. And among the most fascinating creations was a humble dessert, Hobo Christmas pudding. It was a symbol of making do and making memories. It's more than a recipe, it's a testament to the human spirit. Through adversity, people found ways to celebrate and connect. Let's discover how this simple pudding became a symbol of hope, and how, even in the darkest times, a little sweetness could light up the world. To understand Hobo Christmas pudding, we must first understand the hobos. Hobos were itinerant workers, traveling the country by freight train in search of work. They were skilled laborers, carpenters, farmers, miners, forced into homelessness by economic collapse. Life on the rails was dangerous and uncertain, but hobos formed a unique subculture with its own codes and symbols. In makeshift camps called jungles, they pooled resources and shared meals around communal fires. The pudding spirit was born here, using whatever was available, sharing it, and creating comfort in the bleakest times. Hobo Christmas. Pudding became a taste of home for those who had none, a small act of defiance and hope. Why did Hobo Christmas pudding exist? It met two needs: calories and comfort. Traditional Christmas desserts were out of reach, but people craved the ritual and warmth of holiday food. Mock versions of festive dishes helped reclaim a sense of normalcy. Clever cooks used slow steaming to create richness without eggs or butter. Grated potatoes and carrots provided moisture and sweetness, while spices, if available, added festive flavor. The pudding was engineered for maximum comfort with minimal resources. It was a victory proof that even with almost nothing, people could create something warm and sweet, a taste of hope steamed in a tin can. The genius of hobo pudding lies in its use of Depression-era staples, ingredients that were not only affordable, but also widely available even in the toughest times. During the 1930s, home cooks had to be resourceful, stretching every bit of food as far as possible. Flour, sugar, and salt were the backbone of survival cuisine. These pantry basics formed the foundation of countless recipes, from breads to desserts, and were often bought in bulk to last through lean months. Root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, onions, were cheap, durable, and filling. Their long shelf life made them a staple in nearly every household, providing essential nutrients and bulk to meals. Fats like lard or sweat were precious and used sparingly. They added richness and flavor and were often saved from cooking meat or purchased in small amounts when possible. Baking soda was the go-to leavener, often paired with molasses for a bit of lift and sweetness. Molasses, a byproduct of sugar refining, was cheaper than refined sugar and brought a deep, robust flavor to simple dishes. Spices like cinnamon and nutmeg, if available, transformed simple dishes into festive treats. Even a pinch could make a humble dessert feel special, especially during holidays or family gatherings. Molasses added color, moisture, and a sense of richness. Its sticky sweetness was a welcome addition, making even the plainest recipes more appealing. Every ingredient was chosen for cost, shelf life, and the ability to stretch a meal. Cooks had to be creative, making substitutions and using what was on hand to feed their families. These humble tools allowed cooks to create something special from almost nothing. Ingenuity and determination turned basic supplies into comforting, nourishing food. The Depression pantry was bare, but it was also a source of ingenuity. Every meal was a small victory, a testament to making do with what little was available. Hobo pudding is a perfect example of making do, and making it delicious. It's a dish that celebrates the creativity and resilience of cooks from that era. Let's see how these simple, everyday ingredients come together to create a dessert that's both comforting and full of history. Let's break down the Hobo Christmas pudding. Grated raw potato and carrot form the base, providing moisture and binding the pudding. Flour and sugar add structure and sweetness. Baking soda gives a bit of lift, while salt balances the flavors. Spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, bring warmth and holiday aroma. Raisins, if available, add bursts of sweetness. Rendered sweet or lard creates richness as it melts during steaming. Each ingredient is simple, but together they create a dessert greater than the sum of its parts. This is Depression-era food science at its best. Making hobo pudding is simple, resourceful, and a testament to the creativity born from tough times. This humble dessert was a staple in many Depression-era kitchens, where every ingredient was precious and nothing went to waste. Start with a greased tin can, your mixing bowl and baking pan in one. This clever trick meant you didn't need fancy equipment, just what you had on hand. Combine grated potato, carrot, sugar, and raisins, which add natural sweetness and texture to the pudding. Add chopped sweet or lard in the can. The fat is essential for richness and moisture, making the pudding tender despite its simple ingredients. Mix flour, baking soda, salt, and warming spices like cinnamon or nutmeg separately, letting the flavors blend before they meet the wet mixture. Then add the dry ingredients to the wet mixture in the can, stirring gently. Stir until just combined. The batter will be thick and hearty. Smooth the top with a spoon to ensure even cooking. Cover with greased paper and foil, then tie it securely with string. This keeps steam in and water out, protecting your pudding as it cooks. Place the can in a pot with simmering water halfway up the sides, creating a gentle steam bath. Cover and steam for about 3 hours, letting the slow heat work its magic. Check the water level occasionally, topping up as needed so the pot never runs dry. The slow steaming melds flavors, softens the fruit, and creates a dense, moist pudding with a comforting aroma. When done, let it cool slightly, then unmold carefully onto a plate. The pudding should hold its shape, rich and inviting. The result is a warm, fragrant dessert that defies its humble origins, filling the kitchen with the scent of spices and sweet fruit. It's a process born of necessity, but also of ingenuity and care, turning scraps into something special. The outcome is pure comfort, a dessert that nourished both body and spirit during hard times. Now let's see how this simple pudding brought families and friends together, creating moments of joy even in the toughest days. Picture a cold December day in 1934 in a hobo jungle outside Chicago. Around a fire, strangers become companions as they pool their meager ingredients, Flour, sugar, raisins, potatoes, a carrot, a tin of cinnamon, and a battered coffee can. They grate, mix, and steam the pudding over the fire, sharing stories as the sweet aroma fills the air. When it's done, they divide the pudding equally. For a moment, they're not just homeless men, they're a community, sharing a Christmas treat. The act of making and sharing the pudding brings dignity and hope. In that simple meal, they reclaim a sense of belonging. The pudding is more than food, it's a symbol of resilience. Even in hardship, they find warmth and connection. Hobo Christmas pudding was more than sustenance. It was a social glue. Making it required sharing scarce resources, reinforcing bonds in a harsh world. The process gave structure and purpose, a welcome break from daily uncertainty. Mixing, steaming, and waiting together created anticipation and camaraderie. Dividing the finished pudding was an act of generosity and solidarity. It said, "We're in this together." The pudding became a symbol of hope, a reminder of better times and a promise of future ones. By keeping the tradition alive, people refused to let hardship extinguish their spirit. Small acts of hope, like sharing a pudding, helped people endure the unendurable. Today, Hobo Christmas pudding may seem like a relic, but its message endures. It's not about the ingredients, it's about the intention, creating warmth and connection in hard times. The tradition is a lesson in resilience and gratitude. Making the pudding honors the strength of those who came before us. It reminds us that the simplest meals, shared with others, are often the most meaningful. In a world obsessed with abundance, the pudding teaches us to value community and hope. Even in the darkest times, a little sweetness and ingenuity can create something beautiful. Hobo Christmas pudding is a tradition born of hardship, but its message is one of enduring light.